Okay, here we go. Fifth, fourth, sixth in the series. Not sure which one this is. I'm here in Yarraville in Melbourne. Bright, sunny day in the middle of the COVID-19 lockdown. We're going to have a go at another rescue. This one also from a friend. Take the label off. You can see there's actually not much plant here. I don't know how good that comes up, but you can see there's not much plant. There's a lot of back bulb. All of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 back bulbs, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green bulbs. There's also not much plant in the pot, so might even pot this one down a size. It's in soil again, so the plant itself is very heavy. I also suspect it's very pot bound. There were a lot of weeds in it. When I got it, I pulled those out and it's been recovering for a few days. It's all right, let's have a go. Take this off, if we can. Wow. It's in there pretty solid, isn't it? It's not going to come off. Okay, sometimes this is what happens with orchids. Sometimes you got to get pretty brutal with them in order to make it work. There you go. Now there's the problem. You can see that now. That is completely root bound. There's even weeds growing into the base. It's completely pot bound. There is nowhere for that plant to grow. That's why you're losing all the growth and ending up with just back bulbs. So it's going to take some time. So this is all weed root. It's got nowhere to grow either, thank goodness. But, you know, it's a big pot for not much plant. So I know I did the last one in 2 videos when I had one like this, but I thought I'd leave it all together this time to give you an idea of what's involved. All I'm doing is just teasing the roots out. This is actually starting to rot. So the water's not getting away here. And see in the middle here, this is actually quite bad. So the roots in here have gone black, and they're not growing at all. This plant is, were we not doing this plant would not survive. So this one has to go. It'll recover. Orchids are incredibly resilient. So in all honesty, I've had plants worse. At least these roots, even though they're quite black and not in good condition, are quite thick and tuberous. They're not. When they dry out, they get thin and papery. The plant still survives. They really are fabulous survivors, but this one's not as bad, right? So not good, and it still needs an awful lot of work to get all of this out, and it's going to take me a while. I thought, I've had a couple of people ask me, what do I do to prepare to do orchids, and I thought, rather than try and explain that while I'm working on an orchid, I'll try and make a video of setting up. So this little bench that I built, bear in mind I don't have a garden here, so my orchids are all, my orchids are my garden, so there's not a lot of other space for anything like storage outside, and so you sort of make do. You find out what'll work and what won't, and give yourself some room, and away you go. So I'm still breaking up roots, trying to dig them out from the inside. So all of this, originally there was some reasonably large stone in here. It's been put in to make, it's not bark, it is actually stone, like a large, where's a piece? It's I don't know, like a piece of, not granite, but I don't know, sandstone or something. It's a gravel, a large gravel, maybe 15 millimetre gravel. that's been used to give the plant some space. Personally, I don't like it. I think that there's all sorts of stuff you can do, and as I've said in a previous video, when you talk to orchid growers, everyone's got a different view. I guess that's what makes it fun, isn't it? But you always come up with your own. That wasn't good. Oh, it's just the secateurs. That's all right. I don't mind if they fall down. So there's some work here, isn't there? That's what I did with the previous ones. I don't think that this is a one-off. The reason I broke the previous 2 videos is because this takes so much time. But had a friend, in inverted commas, say to me, no, we need to see the whole thing. Because it sometimes get quite brutal. I can remember, chopping these up with a meat cleaver and all sorts of things to give yourself enough room to grow. And as I've said, orchids are incredibly resilient. They will recover. I'm trying to break up this top stuff now. This is really baked in. Once you get both sides, get through to where you've got free roots top and bottom, seems to go a bit quicker. You do need somewhere set up to put all of this junk that comes out, and that really doesn't matter if you're doing it with a rescue like this, or you're doing it with an orchid in good condition that you're just repotting. You've still got to replace the medium, so you need a way to deal with what comes out of the plant. I've just got a bin down there with a bag liner, liner bag in it. And then, away you go. Just sweep it off the edge, let it all drop in. So you can see I'm making some headway now. This is starting to come apart. A bit hard on your hands, hence the rubber gloves. I've done this with leather gloves. The rubber gloves are a lot better. The leather gloves get wet, and the feel, you can't feel the roots as much as you can with the rubber gloves. These are much easier to work with, and you can throw them away and replace them. I guess it depends how much you want to do that. I tend to wash them, let them dry until they get holes in them, and then replace them then. But they're pretty good. They're not really rubber gloves. I think they're called nitrile. I don't know what nitrile means, but I know when you buy them, it says on them they're nitrile gloves. So anyway, these are pretty good. Bit hard to get on, bit hard to get off, but they last a long time. Oh, getting brutal now. So get the thumbs right in between the roots there and push it out from the inside. And that's letting the top collapse. That's what this plant really needs, to let the roots have somewhere to grow. We will be removing a lot of these roots because they will come away with the back bulbs, and I want them to. The plant doesn't need all of these roots for a plant this size. It's just, have I said before that orchids do like to have not much space in the pot? I wouldn't say they like to be pot bound, but they like the pot to be full. So if you let the plant get too, or if you pot it up too early, if you got a plant in a 6-inch pot and you put it into a 10-inch, it's not going to like it. You won't get flowers. You're better off going up only a size when you absolutely have to. So go from 6 to an 8, and then leave it there until it can't fit in the pot anymore. In the pot, until it starts to change the shape of the pot, and then just go up to the next size. So it's not a big change. You don't want big changes. A lot of this stuff's coming out now. You will find also a little later on, I'll get the hose out and use the hose to blow this soil away. And I do that with all plants. Try and remove as much of the previous medium as possible so that the plant's growing in fresh medium all the way around. Seems to produce the best result, I think. keep going here. Don't know where you are if you're when you're listening to this. Are you in Victoria with me, suffering from the lockdown? I was talking to a nephew the other day. Hope you're listening, Andrew. He's in New York City and he's locked in too. I don't know whose situation's worse. I guess their situation is they've got a lot more cases and a lot more deaths. Of course, got a lot more people too, but even still. Today, for those keeping count, is the day we've had, I think we said 94 new cases, and it's the first time we've been in double digits since like June, and we're right at the end of August. So yeah, about 8 weeks it's taken us to grow that hump and then get over it. It's a pretty wicked situation. Wow, it's tighter on this side than it was on the other. I guess that makes sense because this is where all the plant is, but even still, doesn't make it any easier, does it? So no rules here. Don't worry about disturbing the roots. Don't break roots if you don't have to, but don't be overly concerned. You don't have to be gentle, I guess is that what I'm saying. You don't have to be gentle. Orchids are incredibly robust and they will recover. I'm talking cymbidiums, not talking all orchids. I should clarify that. If you're growing phalaenopsis, a whole other ball game. Not my field. I prefer cymbids and zygos. You can grow outside in Victoria. It doesn't get so cold, and provided you've got enough shade. So my orchids are all along here. As soon as we get to daylight saving, which is the end of, when is it? Oh, it was not right, though. Once we get to daylight saving, end of October, doesn't sound right, sounds too late. Anyway, from daylight saving, I put up a shade sail that covers this whole area. It's actually a commercial shade sail that you get from hardware supplier. I bought it at Bunnings, and so it's not the proper shade level for orchids. The growers will tell you 50% shade, and that's right, I don't argue with that, but to get 50% shade you really need to go to nursery supplies, and then you need to be able to make the sail up yourself, and that was too difficult for me, so I went for a 70% shade, commercial product, straight off the shelf, just a square, and then I hang it at about 3 metres. Yeah, so it's well above the orchids and it has no sides, which means even though it's a 70% shade cloth, they get a lot less than 70% shade. So they get a lot of direct sunlight, and the leaves will go quite yellow in summer. And so the rule is that orchids will stand as much light as you can give them, provided they don't burn. So you can't have them in direct sunlight in summer in Victoria, it'll kill them, they will burn, but as much light as you can give them, and if they yellow off in summer, it's okay. It just means that they are stressed, and when they're stressed is when they flower. So more light, more flowers. Seems a bit of an oxymoron, more stress, more flowers, but that's the way they work. So, well, we're getting there. Not quite ready to try and take a back bulb off yet, but we're getting very close. Don't know if you can hear that, but that's roots breaking. Not so concerned because I'm going to take that one off. So there's just a few roots came out with that, but it breaks up the root ball a little. Gives me something to work with. Another one. I think I've said before, you can grow a new orchid from the back bulb if you're so inclined. I don't know that anyone does commercially. There never seems to be any point. You can always divide your orchids, and I don't have any intentions of dividing this one, simply because I would like to keep it in its as natural as I possibly can. See, some roots are coming out now. Good thing. So I'm getting down in amongst the dead roots in the middle of the plant. Wow, there's a lot of soil packed in there. Still going. I might just get the hose out. Whoa, hang on. Have to be careful of the microphone. Okay, so I'm going to try and blow some of this soil away. I don't know if you can see this. It's still a very heavy root ball, partly because it's got so much water in it now and the soil is holding the water. If this had been potted in bark, it would be very light, because this would simply blow all the soil out of it, all the bark out of it, and it becomes very light. Okay. So it's a little easier to see what's going on here. That there is the end of the roots associated with that back bulb that I took out earlier. So there's the other one there. I don't know if I can push him out. No, not yet. Wow. It's a long way to go. Just go make a cup of tea and come back. Make me a cup of tea if you like. Just black, no sugar. Still breaking it away. Goes on and on, doesn't it? This root ball in the middle is all of that soil that it's grown right out of in order to get space on the outside of the pot. So all on the outside was where the growth was taking place, the root growth was taking place, and all this on the inside is what the roots are honestly trying to avoid. So they've grown through it to get out to a point where they can grow the plant. Might be another back bulb here. Oh, I was afraid of that. Get the back bulb, but none of the root structure that goes with it. So now it's going to be a back and forward with the hose. Just, compare this to the video I did where I potted up one of my orchids just from a 6 to an 8 or something. And when I took it apart, the bark basically fell out of the roots, and the plant goes straight back into the plant goes straight back into the pot in minutes. And that's because you don't have this solid root ball that you're dealing with. Anyway, all good fun. I know it looks like a pain in the ass, but I actually enjoy it, so don't complain. Might get the hose again. Right, on the back here, you can see that this is still the original pot-bound root ball. So I've not been able to break that up yet. And there's back bulbs here too that are going to have to come out. You don't have to remove all the back bulbs, but as a general practice, I do, simply because they don't grow well. I don't want the plant putting effort into growing back bulbs. I want it to grow green bulbs and flowers. That's it. And in the process, I expect that they will lose leaves and that they will grizzle and complain. So we can get that one off. Might give me a bit of room, and it does. Good. Give that one too. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's how I expect the back bulb to come away. So, that's a good thing. I know, again, it looks a bit brutal, a bit savage, and I guess it is, but so what? Okay, so now we've got the second side of the plant without any circling roots. This is real good. This is real good. We're getting there now. This is coming apart, so we're in the last stages. Still a lot of soil in here, and I will get all of that soil out. Any roots that are associated with back bulbs, I will allow to come out with them. That one, don't like it. Too long. So we've still got these back bulbs. I'm trying to avoid, if I can, dividing. Oh, look at that. Fabulous. You could grow that today if you wanted another orchid the same. All right, now, look at that. Down to something we can work with. That's why I said I think this pot might actually be too big for this orchid, because this is just, this is what's left. This is the plant. All of that, the rest of it was just supporting the back bulbs. Hose. Nice and light now. No, there's a lot of soil left in here now. Still some. Take the opportunity to pull out any dead leaves, any old fibrous growth, if you can. Some of it's a bit tough. I'm sort of squeezing that around. See these you don't need, take those out. I'm sort of tucking the roots out of the way and producing a nice circular plant that'll go into a smaller pot. Okay, I think that's about enough. Careful. There we go. That's it. Now, clean up the bench. And find myself a more suitable pot. Just checking the microphone doesn't come away, it's alright. need to pick up my secateurs. Secateurs. Oh, lost the mic. Secateurs or secators, or I don't know, call it what you like. I think Don Burke used to say secators, didn't he? Remember Don Burke? Got himself into all sorts of trouble, apparently. I use the secateurs to produce roots at a level I can deal with in a pot this size. There we go. So this is the bark I'm using now is called Kiwi Orchid bark. It's a really good product. You can get it in graded sizes. This is, I've mixed 15 millimetre and I think it's 8 to 15 and 15 to 20 or something, and I mixed the two together. It's really good. I like it a lot. It's clean. There's very little dust in it. I bought it online from a company called Fernland in Queensland, and they deliver it. Everyone's delivering in Victoria, or they're not selling because of COVID. Changed the way we do business. Good. That's okay. So shake it in. I'm trying to hold it all together because I don't want it to appear as though it's two plants in the one pot. It's not. And I don't want it to appear that way. So I'll try and get as much bark in there, settled as I can, before I let it go. Make sure it's all down all the way around. As I said, it doesn't mind, orchids don't mind air around their roots, so they're not like, you know, bare-rooted roses where you've got to get them into the ground. There we go. That's a nice orchid, that one. And then just shake that a bit, pack it down. I'm inclined to overpack these with bark because in a few weeks, as it all settles down, as the plant settles down, the bark settles down, it'll go back down, put the label back in, find the front. I'm going to call that the front. And there we go. Another orchid rescued, ready to go. Have a great day. That's interesting. My clicker doesn't want to work. It's all right, I'll stop it manually.